Lando Norris. But before the World Championships and Silverstone roaring his name, there was just a boy from Glastonbury staring at a go-kart. Born on November 13, 1999, in Bristol, England, Lando wasn't your average British schoolboy. His father, Adam Norris, was already a millionaire businessman. His mother, Siska, was Belgian, warm and patient, the grounding presence in a home full of ambition. But even with privilege on his side, what shaped Lando wasn't money. It was obsession. As a child, he tried everything: horse riding, quad biking, even motocross. But it was a single trip to the British Karting Championships with his dad that changed everything. He was 7 years old when he felt the sound of speed. Within a year, he was behind the wheel. Tiny helmet, oversized gloves, and a grin that would soon become one of Formula One's most recognizable faces. He started karting at 8, and instantly something was different. Most kids drove to win, but Lando drove to understand the puzzle that every lap was, and answer the question of how he could be faster. By the time he turned 13, one of his older brothers, Oliver, his first racing companion, left competitive karting. It hit Lando harder than people knew, but that was the moment he decided he wouldn't stop until he reached the top. From there, the rise began. In 2013, the young Brit took the European karting scene by storm, winning the CYK-FIA European Championship, the International Super Cup, and the WSK Euro Series, all in 1 year. 1 year later, he became the youngest ever world karting champion. And yet, in every interview, he still smiled like he didn't quite believe it. He dropped out of school in year 10 to pursue racing full-time, with no backup plan, just physics lessons with a personal tutor, and racing. By 2014, he moved up from karts to cars, with his debut being the Ginetta Junior Championship. 3rd place overall, 4 wins, Rookie of the Year. The next year, he joined Carlin Motorsport and destroyed the competition in British Formula 4. 8 wins, 10 poles, champion. The boy from Glastonbury was no longer a secret. Journey to F1. 2016 season was a historic triple title campaign. Lando Norris had conquered every junior series he touched: the Toyota Racing Series in New Zealand, the Formula Renault Euro Cup, the Northern European Cup, the British F3 guest races, and finally, in 2017, the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, beating veterans, future F1 drivers, and expectations. The motorsport world was watching to see if this teenager from Somerset could turn raw talent into something greater. Lando joined Carlin once again, his racing home since his karting days, to take on the 2018 FIA Formula 2 Championship. From the first weekend in Bahrain, the tone was set. Norris took pole on his debut, led every lap, and won the feature race like it was routine. His first Formula 2 race, and he won it. He finished second to George Russell in the F2 Championship, but had already earned something bigger: McLaren's trust, and it wasn't easy from there. That year, McLaren brought him in for testing. Zak Brown watched from the pit wall as the kid he signed just months earlier clocked the second fastest time of the entire session. That wasn't normal. Rookie drivers don't do that. But then again, Lando Norris wasn't normal. That calm confidence and effortless composure is what drew McLaren in. Because McLaren wasn't just looking for a fast driver, they were rebuilding, searching for a symbol of hope after years in the wilderness. And Lando Norris was the perfect symbol: young, fun, incredibly quick, and unshakably humble. In 2019, McLaren made it official. His partnership with Carlos Sainz, Carlando to fans, helped lead McLaren back to its first podium in 5 years. At just barely 20, Lando Norris became a Formula 1 driver. The rookie season began in Australia. He qualified 8th on debut, out-qualifying veterans and even his more experienced teammate Carlando. He finished 12th in the race, but that didn't matter. Everyone watching saw this was a new McLaren, a new era, and Lando was its face. 2 weeks later, in Bahrain, he finished 6th. Points on the board. McLaren hadn't seen this kind of youthful energy in years. That same season, he became a fan favourite because of who he was. He streamed races on Twitch, laughed at memes about himself, and made Formula One feel human again. Fans called him the most relatable driver in the sport, but beneath the jokes, he was quietly evolving into a killer on track. 2020 was proof. In Austria, the first race of the season, he pushed his McLaren to the limit, finishing third after setting the fastest lap on the final lap of the race. His first Formula One podium. He was just 19 years old, holding back tears on the podium, realising that the kid from Glastonbury was now among the world's elite. The rookie in the orange car. 2021 became the season that proved it wasn't a fluke. He fought Mercedes and Red Bull in qualifying, took his first pole position in Russia, and came within 3 laps of his first Grand Prix victory. But when rain started to fall and his team urged him to pit, he stayed out, trusting himself. It was the wrong call. The dream slipped away in the rain, and with it came one of Formula One's most heartbreaking images. Lando, head in hands, sitting alone beside his car. He was 21, but that night he aged years. Before that heartbreak, McLaren had already achieved a miracle. At Monza, Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris delivered McLaren's first 1-2 in nearly a decade. It proved that McLaren's faith and Lando's loyalty were paying off. By 2022, the new regulations threw McLaren backward. Lando dragged the car to its limits, scoring a lone podium at Imola. 2023 brought change. New leadership, new teammate Oscar Piastri, and a slow start. But everything flipped when McLaren introduced its mid-season upgrades. Suddenly, they were flying. Podiums in Austria, a front row at Silverstone, and 7 podiums by year-end. McLaren was back, and Lando was the reason, and then came Miami, 2024. The world watched as Lando Norris, after 110 races, countless podiums, endless close calls, finally crossed the finish line as a Formula One race winner. His first victory. The crowd roared, the orange flags waved, and the young Brit stood on the top step, shaking his head in disbelief. The wait was over. That win was proof that loyalty still mattered in Formula One. While others jumped ship to faster teams, Lando stayed because he believed in McLaren's comeback when few did, and that belief paid off. By the end of 2024, Lando had 4 victories and finished runner-up in the championship behind Max Verstappen. Chasing victory. By the start of 2025, the stage was set. Max Verstappen stood at the top of Formula One, and standing in his mirrors was a 25-year-old from Glastonbury with a grin and a McLaren logo on his chest. McLaren entered the year as favourites. The MCL 39, sleek, sharp, and finally a match for Red Bull's relentless machinery, was a weapon. And behind the wheel of that weapon were 2 of the sport's brightest stars, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. From the first race in Australia, the tone was electric. Lando on pole, Verstappen and Piastri breathing down his neck. The lights went out, and in the chaos of wet conditions, he held them both off. Lap after lap, corner after corner. When the checkered flag dropped, Lando Norris was a race winner again, and the 2025 championship leader. But any fan of Formula One knows, leading early means nothing. Champions are made in the grind. China came next. Piastri won. Japan, Verstappen struck back. Bahrain, Lando clawed a podium, calling his race clueless after a messy start. He was frustrated, but still leading. In Miami, he stormed through the sprint and the main race, finishing second behind Piastri. Then came Monaco, Lando's territory. The tight streets, the glamour, the pressure, all of it brought out the best in him. Pole position, perfect race. The Prince of Monaco finally had a crown. From that moment, the title fight turned nuclear. Verstappen, Piastri, Norris. 3 drivers, 1 throne. There were flashes of fury, wheel-to-wheel duels in Spain, near collisions in Canada. In Montreal, Lando's race ended in disaster. A collision with his teammate. He took full blame, apologised and told reporters. It was the moment that broke many, but Lando came back stronger. By mid-season, Piastri surged with 4 wins in 5 rounds, reclaiming the lead. Verstappen too came roaring back, winning in Monza, Baku, Austin and Qatar, but even a disqualification in Las Vegas couldn't break Lando's focus. Hungary, Norris on a one-stop strategy, holding off Piastri by half a second. The kid had turned into a tactician, but Formula One always finds a way to test its heroes. At Zandvoort, Lando's engine failed. A guaranteed win turned into heartbreak. The points gap ballooned. 34 points down on Piastri. People said the dream was over, then came Italy. Lando fought Verstappen in a breathtaking duel and won. Piastri was ordered to hand back position. The controversy split the paddock, but Norris didn't care. He was back in the hunt. Azerbaijan, Singapore, Austin. The championship swung like a pendulum. Each race was war, each press conference tension. Lando versus Piastri wasn't just a rivalry, it was McLaren versus itself. And through it all, Lando stayed composed. In Mexico, he retook the championship lead. In Sao Paulo, he extended it. But even with the lead in his hands, he knew the hardest race was still to come. The rise of Lando Norris. Abu Dhabi. For the first time in his career, Lando Norris stood 1 race away from becoming a Formula One world champion. He'd fought through chaos, through rivalries, through heartbreak. But now, everything came down to one night on Yas Marina. 58 laps that would decide if the boy from Glastonbury would finally become king. The tension was heavy. His rivals lurked just behind him on the grid. One mistake, one misjudged corner, one safety car could end it all. As the lights went out, Lando launched perfectly, smooth, precise, calm. Piastri attacked early. Verstappen tried to follow, but Lando's rhythm was surgical. Lap after lap, the gap grew. And for once, fate didn't interfere. No rain, no engine failures, no cruel twists, just speed, pure, beautiful speed. On the final lap, with the checkered flag waving and the crowd on their feet, Lando's engineer came over the radio and asked,
Lando, this is Zach from McLaren. Is this the World Champion hotline?
Lando crossed the finish line in tears of joy. He climbed out of the car, raised the British flag, and the roar from the grandstands shook the circuit. For the first time since Lewis Hamilton's rise, the United Kingdom had a new champion, and this one had built his legacy from scratch.
We did it, and I'm so proud of everyone.
And he was right. McLaren had bet on youth when the world told them to chase experience. They stuck with the kid when the podiums weren't coming, and in return, he gave them their first Drivers' Championship in nearly 2 decades. The victory wasn't just about talent, it was about belief. The same belief that pushed a 14-year-old to drop out of school to chase a dream. The same belief that held him through the heartbreak of Russia and through years of rebuilding. After the race, cameras caught him walking alone in the paddock, helmet still on, head tilted back as if to take it all in. When asked what it felt like to finally be world champion, he paused.
I dreamed of this for a long, long time. I mean, everyone does.